Good morning and welcome to Saskatchewan Polytechnic's Virtual Applied Research and Innovation Student Showcase. I am Susan Bloom, the Associate Vice President of Applied Research and Innovation. So Tawau Hau and Tanshi Alanate. Even though this event is virtual, it is important to acknowledge that Saskatchewan Polytechnic campuses are situated on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories, which are the ancestral lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. I wish to express a huge thank you to all of the students for all the work that you have done. And I also wish to thank all of you for attending this event today. This virtual showcase is a celebration of the applied research projects of Saskatchewan Polytech's innovation and passionate students. Videos of the student projects were shared online for adjudication by judges and industry and community partners, and also the public this year. Saskatchewan Polytechnic's Applied Research Student Showcase involved 56 students this year, a record number, so this is wonderful news, and featured 40 project videos focused on solving real-world problems. Now it is an honor for me to introduce our President and CEO of Saskatchewan Polytechnic, Dr. Larry Rosia, who will be saying a few remarks and then announcing our winners.
Well, thank you, Susan, and thank you to the organizers of this as well. What a great event. Tawau Hau and the Intenshi Atlantate, and it is my privilege as well to acknowledge that Saskatchewan Polytechnic campuses are located on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories and the ancestral lands of the Cree, the Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota peoples, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. And I'm so very pleased to be able to join you for this 2021 Applied Research and Innovation Showcase. Well, I wish the pandemic was over and that we could hold this event in person. The health safety is a top priority in our organization. So unfortunately, we have to be apart today. Hopefully next year, we'll be able to meet face-to-face for this important and really exciting event. I know in the years past, I've been able to attend it in person, always enjoyed walking around and seeing the projects and talking to students. Such a great event, and I'm really looking forward to that again. Fingers crossed next year. Saskatchewan Polytechnic is recognized across the province and beyond for its expertise in applied research and innovation. This is one of our greatest strengths and an important characteristic that differentiates us from other post-secondary institutions. It's because of the commitment and the expertise of the faculty, the researchers, and innovative students like you that we have such a strong reputation on the applied research front. As the projects in this annual showcase indicate, you are, without question, incredibly talented and dedicated. As one of the judges, and from what I hear from other members of the judging panel, it was a very difficult job to determine the winners of this year's showcase. That it was a close competition speaks volumes about the quality of your hard work. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to announce the 2021 Showcase winners. They are, in the technology category, first place goes to Jonah Sutter from the GIS, Geographic Information Systems, our Prince Albert campus, for the project using GIS to help reduce response time in rural emergencies.
My name's Jonah Suter, and I'll start off by giving a brief rundown of what GIS can be used for. It's a great tool with endless applications. Basically, it's used to conduct spatial analysis on information with locational data attached to it. Spatial analysis is the act of plotting real-life information into a digital environment. This allows us to determine relationships between features that aren't apparent without GIS. I worked with Springside's fire chief to show how spatial analysis can be used to reduce response times to rural emergencies. For a little background, Saskatchewan's population has been congregating into larger urban centers, which leads to less people managing larger portions of land. This makes protecting rural landowners and their property from emergencies a problem that's growing in difficulty. Even though this is a large-scale issue, I'm just going to be focusing on the area that is about 250 kilometers northeast of Regina, just northwest of Yorkton. Springside Fire Department currently covers about 255 sections of land. They are looking to expand their jurisdiction to better protect areas on their northern border. These 4 additional polygons equal about 195 sections. The 2 polygons on the right are served by Kenora Fire Department, and the 2 on the left are served by Foam Lake Fire Department. The Saskatchewan Fire Safety Act replaced the Fire Prevention Act back in 1992, but it preserved a rule that municipalities have control over bylaws regarding fire rescue services, which includes governing how land is allocated between departments. The Border of Rural Municipalities, or RMs, are the cause of the strangely drawn boundaries. Because if RM and fire boundaries don't overlap, it makes policy writing and taxation less complicated. So the fire jurisdictions are drawn based on ease of management rather than proximity. This is an issue that puts landowners and their property at risk. To illustrate this, let's look at how long it takes fire departments to reach areas within their jurisdiction. Looking at a cluster of farmhouses within Kenora jurisdiction, we can see that they have 42 kilometers to drive, which would take about 32 minutes. While Springside has less than a 10-minute drive, that means Springside's response time would be over 3 times faster than Kenora's. Kenora is stretched too far to the south and cut way too short on the north. Situations like this exist all across the province. A longer response time can make a mild situation dangerous, and a dangerous situation have 0 chance of successful rescue. Fire departments are often first responders to any emergency, not just fires, for example, vehicle collisions. Even though it takes some extra effort and funding to redraw these jurisdictions, it is the duty of the RMs to ensure that landowners and their property receive the best protection available. Opting for proximity won't always be the best choice, but it can help shape new jurisdictions that will save lives. The scope of the greater project goes beyond what I've shown here, and I continue to work on it, but I hope I've displayed how GIS can be used to improve the world around us.
Well, thank you, Jonah. And that is a tremendous project with a lot of innovation that will help people as well, and a lot of application there. So very well done, and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm super excited. I just want to say I do change my shirt from time to time because I was wearing the same shirt as I am now when I made the video. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. Like I did not expect this, but this winning this helps me so much because like I get to throw it on the resume and I get to have my face and my name shown to people of industry with a nice project behind it, and then also just like it lets me know I'm going in the right direction and that it's a project I should continue to look into and put time into. Because I mean, I was working because it's my dad is the fire chief there, and I got lots of plans to like kind of develop a little bit of a database for them, like which goes even past GIS because they have lots of stuff on paper still with like records, and like I'm hoping to like digitize their information bank kind of thing. So it's great, and the cash prize helps too because it gives me a little extra time to not work quite as much and put a little bit more time into this, which is probably something I'll do for like no charge on their part necessarily, of course. But yeah, no, I'm super excited and very appreciative of this having this showcase be a thing.
Well, that's terrific. Well, thank you, Jonah, and what a great way to put what you've learned in your program to some very good use, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, no, I was glad to apply it to my hometown. Yeah, it's really cool.
Terrific. All right, let's go on to the second place award then. And the second place award goes to Scott Lee from the Civil Engineering program in our Moose Jaw campus for his project, Exterior Slab Mix Design with Slag Replacement Comparison. So over to you, Scott.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to present my work to the Student Showcase. My name is Scott Lee, and I'm a recent graduate of the Civil Engineering Technology program at Saskatchewan Polytechnic's Moose Jaw campus. So during my 8-month co-op work term, I worked on a variety of construction projects in Saskatoon, Regina, Lethbridge, and Calgary. All of these projects are different except for one thing. They all used a lot of concrete in them. During my short time in the industry and seeing how much concrete was being used on these projects, I started to wonder how much concrete was actually being used in the world on the rest of the projects going on. Well, it turns out that concrete is the most used man-made substance in the world. It is also the second most used consumed substance in the world behind water. Just let that sink in for a second. Now, the problem with concrete is that during its curing process, it releases CO2 into the atmosphere. This is a result of its main component that gives concrete its strength and binding qualities, which is Portland cement. So because so much concrete is being used in the world, it contributes to 8% of the world's CO2 emissions. This is why I wanted to do an applied research project on an exterior slab mix design with a slag replacement comparison so that I could make a mix design that was more sustainable and economical. I did this by creating 3 mixes with varying levels of slag and comparing their results. So just a background, slag is a byproduct of steel manufacturing. Iron ore is smelted along with coke that turns the ore from a solid into a liquid. Fluxes are then added to remove any impurities contained in the ore. The end product is steel, and the removed impurities are slag. There's different kinds of slag depending on the cooling process, and the kind that's commonly used in concrete is ground granulated blast furnace slag because it has hydraulic properties. As you can see from figure 1 here, this is the slag that I used in my research, and it is not that fine. It's kind of, it's a coarse material, so it did end up affecting some of my results, which I'll talk about later in this presentation. Getting into my key findings, specifically the slump of my batches. One of the benefits of using slag in a concrete mix is that it increases slump or increases the workability. Slump is the consistency of a mix. So the higher the slump, the more the concrete will flow. So in some applications, this can make contractors' life a lot easier. So as you can see in my baseline mix with no slag, the original slump was 75 millimeters. Then with the addition of slag with 30%, it increased to 165. I didn't use air in any of my mixes. I used a water to cement ratio of 0.43. And my target, my goal for these mixes was to achieve a 28-day strength of 32 MPa, which can be seen from figure 2. I did achieve this strength, this 32 MPa strength in my second mix, my 30% mix. It did achieve a higher strength than my baseline mix and the mix 3, the 50% mix. In theory, then the 50% mix should have achieved a higher strength than the 30% mix. But due to the coarse particle size slag that I showed you earlier, it took up too much surface area in my mix design. So it actually contributed to the aggregate content and not to the cement content. So it reduced its strength. So now that I have a successful mix design of with 30% slag replacement, how is it sustainable? Well, as mentioned, slag is a byproduct of steel manufacturing. So if we don't use slag in anything, it just accumulates in landfills. So that right there makes it a sustainable product. Another reason is it can get you points towards a LEED certification. So LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, is a system created by the Green Building Council that awards projects for their contribution to sustainability and lowering their environmental impacts. So to become LEED certified, you need a minimum of 40 points. Out of those 40, you can get 13 by using slag concrete from the following categories here. So it's great to have sustainable options, but are there real world applications for them? Well, after speaking with Alana Gazzetta from US Concrete, she's the she's the lab manager of their head of research department in San Jose, California. She shared with me that they have everyday applications for slag concrete for mixes that contain from 50 to 80% slag replacement and some even 100. Another interesting application that I came across was the Giant Mine Stabilization Project in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. There are old caverns as a result from 60 years of mining that are left in place there, 140 meters below the Earth's surface. So they used 50,000 cubic meters of slag concrete to backfill these chambers and to stabilize them to prevent them from subsiding. So I have a mix that works at 30% slag replacement that can achieve a strength of 32 MPa. It's sustainable. There's applications for it, but does it make sense economically to replace cement with slag? Well, after speaking with Rob Young and Travis Walk, I learned that you can save over $277 per ton if you use slag over cement. I did a rough cost analysis on my individual mixes that I designed and batched in the lab and determined that for my baseline mix with no slag, it's going to cost $93.18 per cubic meter to produce. Now replacing that cement with 30% slag, it's going to bring down the cost to $58.28. And by using 50% slag replacement, the cost will be reduced even further to $34.97. So yes, it does make sense economically to replace cement with slag. In conclusion, I produced a 30% slag replacement mix that reached a specified strength of 32 MPa. It can award 13 points towards a LEED certification. And slag can save producers over $277 per ton on cement. There are typical slag replacements in the field that include 30 to 80%. However, 100% is possible. If I could do this project over again, I would acquire slag with a finer gradation, or I would use the current slag I do have to replace the aggregate instead of the cement. And I would batch and test all mixes again to confirm the results. At this time, I would just like to say thank you to everybody on this list for helping me with my project. I couldn't have done it without you. And thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to my presentation today. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And thank you to Saskatchewan Polytechnic for the opportunity to be here today and for giving me the scholarship. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, congratulations again, Scott. That's an amazing project. And again, taking what you've learned in civil engineering program and applying it to something with some real world value. I mean, sustainability is key moving forward, as well as cost for some of these big concrete projects. So very well done and a great project.
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone for this. I appreciate it very much. It's nice to have some recognition for the hard work put into a project like this. The slag replacement project is nothing new, but slag concrete's been being used in the past lots. But it was nice to be able to highlight that there is a product here that's local that we could use to make concrete more sustainable and affordable. So thank you for this opportunity to do a research project, and thank you for the scholarship. And for this, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Well, congratulations again, Scott. Very good project and very well done. Okay, now it's time for our third place winner, and our third place goes to Tori Frankel and Lauren Lucan, Integrated Resource Management Program from our Prince Albert campus.
Growing Black Spruce Seeds in 3 Biochar Inoculations by Tori Frankel and Lauren Lucan.
We chose to work with biochar because it instantly adds biological components back into the soil, has the ability to store carbon in the ground in a stable form, and 20 to 50% of carbon can be sequestered when making biochar from biomass waste.
For the germination process, 2 rounds of germinating black spruce seeds were done due to some mortalities, and for the inoculation process, 3 separate mixtures of manure, poor soil, and worm castings soaked with the biochar for 24 hours.
This box and whiskers graph shows that the highest mortality was in the control and peat moss. The compost and manure were the most successful. This interval plot shows a one-way analysis of variance using growth rate of initially planted and replanted trees for both growers combined as dependent variables. The one-way analysis indicated a statistically significant disparity among treatment means. The compost was the second best performer after the manure. The forest soil outperformed the peat moss.
The Dennett test shows that all the treatments outperformed the control, but the manure test did so in a statistically significant manner. The results show that biochar inoculations encourage growth of seedlings. With more successful growth, the carbon uptake also increases.
We wanted to use vermicompost because it reduces food waste that would otherwise build up in landfills and produce harmful leachates and greenhouse gases, and it reduces nitrous oxide and methane emissions.
Biochar is a clean medium made through pyrolysis that can contribute to the regeneration of forests. It holds water and brings nutrients back to eroded and poor soils that could not otherwise support vegetation.
Pyrolysis does not expel many contaminating fumes. It decreases greenhouse gases, and it produces biochar, which is composed of 70% carbon. Essentially, the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act's goal is to offset carbon emissions. One can gain carbon offset credits, which could lead to incentives to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and increase greenhouse gas sinks.
The next time this experiment is conducted, it would be more efficient to finish the 3 inoculation processes first, and to plant 5 seeds per plot and use a moisture sensor.
A huge thank you to all of our supporters, including SARP, Airterra, PRT Nursery, Ashton, David, and Leela.
Well, congratulations again, Tori and Lauren. That was a tremendous project. And again, taking what you've learned in your integrated resource management program and real life applications. So tremendous innovation and we're very, very well done.
Thank you very much. We would like to say thank you to Saskatchewan Polytechnic Applied Research for this award. It was nice as students to have the opportunity to gain real life world experiences and be recognized for it.
Terrific.
Yeah, we would also just like, again, like to say thank you to Leela, David, NRT, the NRT program and like PRT Nursery and Ashton and just kind of anyone else who is there to support us. And I don't think the experiment could have been done the same way without them. So thank you.
So what led you to do research in this area? How did you pick this topic?
Well, it started out from our one from Ashton Burgoyne. She started a vermiculture kind of project last year, and then we kind of jumped on that. And then Dave Holstead kind of mentioned he had a biochar thing going on, so we got really interested in biochar and the technology, and kind of right into it, and it was really interesting. Just kind of what people are starting to do with this, I guess, new technology.
New technology. Well, congratulations and. Very well done.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to our next category then. So this is in health and social categories. And the first place winner is awarded to Dan Reichert from the GIS program, Geographic Information Systems, at our Prince Albert campus for mapping opioid addiction and addiction and opioid-related deaths in Saskatchewan. Over to you, Dan.
For my project, I've created a map that shows how Geographic Information Science, or GIS, can help tackle the problem of opioid-related deaths in Saskatchewan. GIS is about creating maps from data. Opioids are drugs like morphine, codeine, and fentanyl. I'm going to share my screen now and show you what I've created. I've got a whole story map here that lays out everything, but for this presentation, I'm going to focus on this dashboard to show you how maps can help with this problem. I've created a map that shows the COVID zones the Saskatchewan Health Authority uses. In each zone, the mortality rate is shown based on the drug toxicity deaths in 2020. The darker the brown, the higher the mortality rate. I've overlaid those zones with dots that show the location of at least one death that happened in 2020 because of drug toxicity. I'm now going to zoom in on the northwest zone, and as you can see, it had one of the highest mortality rates in the province with 37.79 deaths per 100,000 people. And as you can see, there was a death in Spiritwood, St. Walburg, and in some First Nations locations, as well as Unity and North Battleford. Now let's turn on the locations where naloxone kits are free. Naloxone reverses an opioid overdose. These are different locations that a take-home naloxone kit is free, and there's free training available. As you can see, there was free naloxone available in some locations where there was a death in 2020, but not all places. Spiritwood, for example, did not have a naloxone kit that was free, but North Battleford and Unity did. St. Walburg did not, as well as some of these First Nations did not. We can also see if there was a pharmacy that was located in some of these places where there was a death. These pharmacies are pharmacies that sell naloxone. Again, there was nothing in Spiritwood or St. Walburg or these First Nation reserves. What about addiction services, outpatient? You can see there's one in Spiritwood. Here's Maidstone, but there was no death there. Again, there was nothing in these First Nation locations as well as St. Walburg. What about other addiction services? Again, you can see there is nothing in St. Walburg or there's First Nations. So this brings up a number of different questions. First off, where naloxone is available for free as well as being sold in Unity North Battleford, is there enough education and awareness around naloxone? Was it deployed? We're not sure, but we need more data and more investigation. And it's obvious that places that didn't have naloxone would benefit from a free naloxone location. This is a great starting point for policymakers to find what kind of resources are needed in places that don't have naloxone, and whether or not there's education or awareness needed in other areas. Furthermore, GIS has the ability to help coordinate local and provincial resources to combat a problem that is very much local. Each community is different and has different needs. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Dan. Another great project where you've used mapping and data to help policymakers make better and more informed decisions for the safety of all. Tremendous. Great use of innovation, great use of technology, and congratulations.
Thanks so much. Wow, this is a great honor. Thank you. I'll just go, I have a few people to thank. People from the SHA, Kathy Brayton, Leslie Olson, Derek Larson, Leanne Carr, and Darcy Blayhunt, who originally helped me and Ryan get in touch with everyone. Amanda Van Steelant from the Sask Ministry of Health, and Jill Strachan and Sarah McGee from the Canadian Health Institute for information. And of course, my instructors, Ryan Galbraith and Teal Fisher, especially Ryan, who was my supervisor on the project. Very supportive, encouraging, and always there to answer my questions, even if it's, you know, on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock. And thanks to those who voted for my project and Polytech for setting up the showcase. You know, it's obvious that Saskatchewan has an opioid problem. My hope is this is just the beginning of the GIS work, which you know, has a possibility to better communicate this problem and help fine-tune solutions to end the crisis. So thank you very much.
That's tremendous. Again, congratulations, Dan. And you know, when I look back at all of these projects, they're really making our world a better place by some of what you've decided to research and innovate around. So very well done and congratulations. Okay, we have second place now. And as I said, these projects were so well done that it was really hard to make some of these decisions. So we actually have a tie for second place. So the first in second place, we have Brianna Mueller from the Medical Lab Technology Program at our Saskatoon campus for the project PCR use for blood culture samples to promote antimicrobial stewardship.
Hi, my name is Brianna, and today I will be presenting on the topic of PCR for the use of blood culture samples in order to promote antimicrobial stewardship. Antimicrobial resistance is a huge problem. Currently, it is estimated that by the year 2050, 10 million people will die every year from antibiotic-resistant infections. This means that it would surpass the number of current deaths caused every year by cancer. There are many factors that are contributing to this enormous issue, one of which is the use of broad-spectrum antimicrobials. So one of the instances that broad-spectrum antibiotics are heavily relied upon is for the treatment of bloodstream infections. These infections are very serious and have a 14 to 37% mortality rate, meaning that they need to be treated in a timely manner. Due to the increase in very sick hospitalized patients during the pandemic, the number of blood cultures processed by the microbiology lab has also increased. Current testing methods for blood culture samples include incubating the samples in a BACTEC incubator where they're monitored for growth and they are flagged if positive. Positive samples are microscopically examined and reported to the physician to help direct treatment, but a full identification of the organism takes approximately 5 days in routine specimens. One alternative to traditional testing methods is the use of PCR. PCR is a molecular diagnostic method that uses DNA amplification in order to detect specific pathogens that may be causing infections. It also has the ability to detect antimicrobial resistance genes that the organism may have. PCR is a much faster identification option, which would allow for the promotion of antimicrobial stewardship through the use of more directed antimicrobial therapies, rather than the use of broad-spectrum antimicrobials. Broad-spectrum antibiotics are administered to the patient before the identification of the organism is even known. These antibiotics cover a large range of bacteria that could be causing the infection. Broad-spectrum antibiotics are used in the case of bloodstream infections due to the severity and the length of turnaround time associated with these organisms. With the use of broad-spectrum antibiotics comes a broader range of negative effects as well. These include the selection of resistant bacteria that could lead to antimicrobial resistance, depletion of the normal flora leading to Clostridium difficile infections, and the increased length of patient stays and worse outcomes leading to increased healthcare costs. When conducting research on the various options for PCR panels for blood culture samples, there were two prominent options: the film array panel and the BioFire BSID2 panel. So this table shows a basic comparison of the film array and the BSID2 PCR panels. We can see that the sensitivity and the specificity of the two panels are very similar, but the BSID2 shows better sensitivity. The BSID2 panel also shows a larger number of organisms and antimicrobial resistant markers that the panel is able to identify, which makes it the stronger option for the PCR panel. Antimicrobial resistance is a growing concern, with bacteria constantly finding new ways to gain resistance to antimicrobials that used to treat them. PCR offers a faster turnaround time for blood culture specimens, which would allow for more targeted antimicrobial therapy. This lessened use of broad-spectrum antimicrobials would decrease the selection for antimicrobial-resistant pathogens, while providing benefits like the decrease in C. diff infections and ultimately lower healthcare costs. The BSID2 PCR panel has the ability to identify 33 organisms and 10 antimicrobial resistance markers, which would make it a potential diagnostic method. Future research would need to be conducted, including a cost comparison of PCR and traditional identification methods, as well as the validation study for the PCR panel.
All right. Well, congratulations, Brianna. A very interesting project, and one with tremendous applications as we battle increasing numbers of cases of infections, and so congratulations. Very well done. Great application. And I'll let you say a few words.
Thank you so much for this award. I first would like to thank my faculty partner for the project. So Madison Sielski, thank you so much for the hard work and your dedication to the project as well. I would also like to thank Dr. Blondeau, my partner with the SHA lab. And I would also like to thank just like the Department of Applied Research and Innovation for this great opportunity to perform my own research. It was an awesome opportunity and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, you've certainly taken what you've learned, and a great application, great innovation, so congratulations. Okay, as I said, we had a tie, so also earning second place is Hararan Rajendra from our business program at our Moose Jaw campus for addressing moral distress on the front lines, the ethical challenges police officers are experiencing due to COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Hariharan Rajendran, a business marketing student from the Saskatchewan Polytechnic. I'm here in addressing the moral distress on the front lines, the ethical challenges police officers are experiencing due to COVID-19. The primary research, Policing in Uncertain Times, was conducted by my mentor, Lindsay Bettler, amongst various police officers throughout Saskatchewan. The research have found instances of many police officers going through a moral distress. Moral distress occurs when one knows the ethically correct action to take but feels powerless to take that action. The fear of being infected and bringing it home, the changing protocols, the increased volumes of communication, strict top-down management, change in arrest warrants, PPE hindrance, and no recreation has increased stress and negative sentiments. All such reasons severely has dropped many police officers' morale down, affecting their mental health. To understand the reasons and situations that creates moral distress amongst police officers, a secondary analysis was conducted from the primary data collected. There are 120 survey responses. 66% of respondents are constables and 23% are sergeants. Here are those ethical values that have caused the moral distress for those police officers who have attended the survey. It had been a challenging duty in protecting the city and protecting the family with young children and old sick members from not being infected. PPE hindered effective police interrogation and arrests. Criminals threatened infection by coughing at them. Police followed the duty to protect the public. The policies changed every day. The number of calls and emails increased. Top-down communication where higher officers never consulted the frontline officers. Due to policy change and no arrests, high-speed robbery and drug peddling increased, causing more stress for the officers from not doing their duty. Frontline officers deserve open collaboration and good communication. Higher officials should be guided by the notion of stewardship and solidarity. The society should be reciprocal to support the police officers who face a disproportionate burden in protecting the public good and take steps to minimize their impact.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Harry Haran. That's a very good project, and certainly one that's a real challenge for police officers. So this application will have tremendous applications for this industry. Thank you so much for your innovation and for your hard work on the project. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for this award. I'm very happy and I'm excited. I didn't expect that I could make it. Thank you so much. And I'm taking this opportunity to thank Almighty God and my gurus for their grace. And I'm thankful to my parents, my sister and brother-in-law, my girlfriend, and my nephew for their love and support. And thank you, Saskatchewan Polytechnic, for supporting us during this pandemic by conducting this showcase online. I'm thankful to all my tutors of Saskatchewan Polytechnic for always being there and being very supportive. And I'm thankful to my mentor, Lindsay Beckler, for her guidance, her support, and for even buying me a subscription for all these softwares. And I extend my gratitude to our team, Heather, Natasha, Poppy, and Lillian. And I could not have made it without them. So thank you everyone. Yeah.
Again, a great project and a great presentation as well. Well done, congratulations. And finally, we have the People's Choice Award, which is always a category of our innovation awards. And the winner with 135 votes is Kelsey Knippel from the Psychiatric Nursing, our Regina campus, for Policing Mental Health, a psychiatric nursing perspective in crisis intervention.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Knippel. I'm a second-year psychiatric nursing student, and my applied research project is entitled Policing Mental Health, a psychiatric nursing perspective in crisis intervention. Before I begin, I would like to thank my advisor, Dan Lee, for all of his support, and I would also like to thank the Regina Police Service for their transparency and collaboration while working together on this project. Within the last several years, there has been a growing concern regarding police responding to complex mental health calls within our community. As well as mental health crises, there is also a growing addictions issue within Saskatchewan. Within the last 7 years, the Saskatchewan Health Authority has begun collaborating with law enforcement to provide assistance during crisis calls within the community and to assist officers from a mental health perspective. The purpose of my study was to examine the self-reported readiness of officers when responding to complex mental health calls within our community. To date, no study has examined this concern from a police perspective. Self-reported readiness is incredibly beneficial data. Its training can only be effective if it meets the needs of those implementing it. I reached out to Regina Police Service and was connected to Sergeant Sherry Wild, who oversees the police and crisis team. After securing my industry partner, my project was ready to begin. I sent my SurveyMonkey survey off to officers, where they were then able to participate in my study. 39 officers participated, with 1 to 27 years experience policing, with an average of 14.4 years experience. Here are some examples of responses from officers. After analyzing the data and using chi-square tests, my data was statistically significant. These were the areas of improvement identified in my study. I began to create a custom educational guide that covered the most prevalent needs identified by officers. Here are some examples of the training that I provided. All of my training is provided in printable PDF format so that officers can bring the training with them in their patrol vehicles. I also plan to have all my training available in video format once COVID restrictions have been lifted, as the majority of my research budget has been allotted to producing professional videos for officers. The next step is to have my research published in a peer-reviewed journal, as well as to collaborate with other frontline workers such as EMTs and paramedics, as I've been asked if my training could be adapted to help them as well, as they are usually first on scene and they also work in collaboration with the police. My hope is that this research really highlights the strengths of the psychiatric nursing profession, and that through utilizing a psychiatric nursing perspective, individuals in crisis will be more appropriately supported. In closing, I would like to thank Saskatchewan Polytechnic, as well as the Office of Applied Research and Innovation, for this opportunity to conduct my own independent research study. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Kelsey, and another great project in an area where there's such a great need in our whole mental health area. So great project, great application, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited. I did not expect to win anything, especially as a brand new researcher, but this is awesome and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm really hoping too that this will create more jobs for psychiatric nurses, and yeah, that this will really help police respond more appropriately to mental health calls. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, again, congratulations, Kelsey. And these projects and projects like this are really meant to spark the innovation spirit in all of you to take what you've learned at Saskatchewan Polytechnic and use that and apply it to real world problems. And all of you are tremendous innovators. So thank you all for your efforts, your ideas, and for your innovation, and congratulations to everyone. Over to you, Susan.
Okay. And thank you. And congratulations to the winners and all of the students for working hard on their projects. For this year's virtual student showcase, a job well done. You are truly the innovators of tomorrow, and we are excited to see and hear about you in your next phase of your work and your career. We are hoping to hold this event in person next year, and we're hoping to see you in person. It will be at Innovation Place. We hope to see you there, so all of you are welcome to attend. And again, I want to thank you for everyone for your time today, for participating in our virtual student showcase. And congratulations again. And we have some wonderful weather out there for today and tomorrow. So I hope all of you get to enjoy that. So thank you and have a wonderful day.
Each year, I do make a request to Susan, and luckily she invites me to be part of these awards and part of the judging. And certainly I did listen and viewed all of the 40 videos, and was very, very impressed by the quality of the innovation that has gone into all of the projects. And to the winners, congratulations to all of you. As I said, the projects in this annual showcase indicate that you are, without question, incredibly talented and dedicated, and it's because of the commitment and the expertise of our faculty. So again, a big thanks to all of our faculty, our researchers, and thank you to our innovative students who have achieved and helping us achieve such a strong reputation on the applied research front. And I can't wait till next year's projects, and hopefully that one will be in person so I can spend a little more time chatting with each and every one of you. So congratulations again. Thanks, Susan, to you and your team for organizing this. I know the virtual aspect of it is a little challenging, but certainly it was a very exciting process to take part in. And listening to all those 40 videos just gives me a tremendous amount of confidence in the talent we have in our faculty, our researchers, and our students. So congratulations, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.